Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? This is an early vlog. I'm vlogging before I do anything else. I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna vlog today. And then when I get done, I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna make more videos or not. I have like a huge haul I wanna do. It can wait till tomorrow or Monday. But I have a haul, and then I have a couple review videos that I want to do. I have a drama video that I want to do, but I'm like, those can wait until tomorrow or Monday. So I don't know. So when I get done with this vlog, if I'm like in it, and I'm still feeling like filming videos, then I will film a couple other videos. And same goes for tomorrow too. But I was like, I want to get my vlog done early today. So I'm vlogging early today. It is currently 2:48. I was listening to a little Bette Midler. We'll get to that in just a second. It is currently, oh, now it's 2:49. 2:49. It's not as cool out as it was earlier. It is currently, who texted me? Nikki did. It is currently, I'm texting with Nikki, and I'm texting with Tanya, and I'm texting with Mel about picking the book. Mel is currently getting her hair done, and we're texting about the book for a true crime book club. So the temperature is in Indianapolis, let's see. It's currently 69 and sunny outside. It felt a lot cooler earlier. Well, obviously. What's the high for today? 72. So I put on this long t-shirt, but I don't even think that I need it. I could definitely have a short t-shirt on. And then I just made some coffee. I actually haven't been up too long. I've been up for about an hour. Because I stayed up late last night because on Saturdays and Sundays I give Boo his 6 a.m. meds. And so I started watching this show last night, Hysteria, which I'll get to in just a second. I feel like there's so many shows right now that I want to watch. So I started watching this show last night, Hysteria. And I got like 4 episodes in, and then I started the 5th episode. And I was like, okay, go to sleep. And then I was like, no. I got to the 4th episode, and then I was like, okay, go to sleep, and then sleep for like an hour or two, or what, or like an hour and a half before, like, you know, you have to get up to give Boo his meds. But the show was so good, and Boo had finally gone to sleep, and so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch one more episode. So then I watched, I think that was after the 3rd episode, and then I watched the 4th episode, and then I started the 5th episode, and then it was 6 o'clock. So I gave him his meds, and I came downstairs, and I put all my stuff away, and then, I was kind of surprised. He usually, after we give him his 6 o'clock meds in the morning, he usually gets up and like wants to go outside and stuff like that. He didn't want to, but I had taken him out like 1,000 times last night. He did good. He did good yesterday. I would say throughout most of the day into the evening, he was like just like hanging out with us and walking around, and then he'd rest for a little bit. He was doing good. We're noticing that like when he wants to go to sleep, he like fights it. So we don't know, like, I know this sounds kind of crazy, but that like maybe every seizure that he's had while he's been asleep. And so he comes out of it, you know, like into the seizure. And so we're kind of like, maybe, like, we even asked the vet about it, and she's like, well, we don't know about things like that. But we're kind of wondering if maybe he's like afraid to go to sleep because like he's woken up, you know, a couple times. Anyway, but so last night he would sleep for a little bit, and then he would get up and he would walk around, and then he would like kind of like sit with us. He was a lot more normal yesterday. I mean, he's nowhere near 100%, but I mean, he's getting better. But last night, like, what did Alex watch last night? Oh, well, we watched Grotesquerie last night. So we got caught up on Grotesquerie, and we watched House of Villains last night. We thought there were going to be 2 episodes of Grotesquerie. It's so weird how they're doing it. Like last week was, so this was episode 7. So last week was episode 5 and 6, and they were 30 minutes each. This week's episode was like an hour, and it was 1 episode. And then next week is episodes 8 and 9, and then the following week is the finale. It's so weird. The show is so weird. I don't even know what to think about it. It's weird because I like the show. Like, I enjoy watching it, and it's very spooky vibes, but I honest to God, if you guys are watching it along with me, or along by yourselves, or whatever, you'll know what I'm talking about. I have absolutely no clue what is going on. Like, I don't think I've watched a show like that. I don't even know the last time. I mean, if I was binge watching the show, I would have stopped it. I think the fact that Alex and I are watching it together, it's kind of what's fun, and we're both confused, and we both have, like, no idea what's going on. But anyway, so we watched that last night. And then we watched House of Villains after that, because it's the 2nd season of House of Villains, which is so messy. It's interesting that there's like a lot of crossovers between, well, not a lot, there's a few crossovers between House of Villains and Traitors. It's almost kind of like, I wonder if they're not like casting from the same like production team or agency or something like that. So there's that. So we watched that last night. It's good. I mean, Alex is like, this is so corny. It is corny, but at the same time, it's like messy, funny. So I like it. The cast this year is, well, I don't, if you haven't watched this week or you're still not watching it, I don't want to ruin it for you, because what they did was somebody got eliminated and they brought somebody new in. Which you weren't expecting. It's kind of it's like a big reality star. So House of Villains is like all of like the villains from reality TV. Like Teresa from the Real Housewives of New Jersey is on this season. And then Candy Muse from RuPaul's Drag Race. Safari, that apparently dated Nicki Minaj, which is on Love and Hip Hop in Atlanta. I don't know anything about him. Richard Hatch, the original winner of Survivor, is on it. Jesse from Big Brother is on it. He's constantly like flexing his pecs and stuff like that. Who's the other guy that's in there? Wes from The Challenge is on there. I think I went through the whole cast and talked about it. But anyway, I like it. I think it's a good show. So we watched that, and then... Okay, so I don't know how I came up with this idea. So a while ago... So Boo Radley is having a hard time eating off this plate, because he kind of like, he'll like look at it, and then he like steps back, and then like... So anyway, so he keeps on lifting like the plate up. And so it's like this, you know, glass plate, and so it makes a lot of noise. And... So, I mean, he's eaten off of this, it's just like, I mean, it's a regular plate. He's eaten off of it for, I mean, ever since he's been eating wet food, because we've always put it on a plate for Tucker, and Pee-Pee. But just recently, he, like, has a problem, like, with the plate, and sometimes, like, steps into it and walks into it and stuff like that. So it makes, like, this loud crashing noise and whatever. And then it gets, like, he gets a little scared. So I had bought, a while ago, I probably talked about it on here, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but I had bought these things. They're like plastic plates for dogs, but they have, like, they're, like, usually square. And then they have, like, grooves in them where the food goes. And so it's supposed to be easier for dogs that don't have teeth to eat off of it. Well, I tried it with Boo, and he seemed to have more difficulty with that than he did. It's actually, the easiest thing for him is if you just put it on, like, a paper towel on the floor, and then he just licks it up. But he seemed to have a hard time. I mean, this plate, this plastic plate, I bought, like, 2 or 3 different kinds, and they were pretty expensive. They are specifically designed where you put treats for dogs that don't have teeth in them and things like that. It's supposed to be easier for them to get out of. Boo Radley was more confused with that than anything else. But last night, he kept on picking this plate up, and so this was, like, late in the evening. Alex had gone to bed, and I got him another plate of food, and because he went outside, and he was, like, running around, and he always kind of gets, like, comes, like, alive, like, late at night. And so I took him outside, and he was inside, and he was being all playful, and I was giving him treats, and I was like, like that, and playing with him on the floor and stuff like that, and he was being real cute. But he was hungry. He's been super, super hungry. I mean, he eats so much now. A lot of people that have their dogs on Kepra have said that they, like, eat, like, massive amounts. And so I was, like, fixing him up this food. Well, I could tell he was having, like, a problem with this plate. And so I was like, okay, we gotta fix something. And so I'm, like, looking around the kitchen. I'm like, what can we do? Like, I need to order something like a plastic mat to put on the floor and whatever. Okay. So Alex has this, well, I just learned, I don't know if I told you guys this, I just learned how to use it. I mean, seriously, I was joking about this, to our friends at Pat a Shoe. I've never really used the what do you call it, the deep fryer that we have in there, that somebody sent us, which was nice. Alex uses it literally every day, probably 3 times a day. He loves, is it a deep fryer? What's it called? I don't know. But anyway, he loves that so much, that Ninja deep fryer. He's obsessed with it. He uses it like 3 times a day. Uses it more than the microwave. But somebody also sent us, on top of that, they sent us these plastic things that go inside there. Well, Alex doesn't use those because somebody had sent us these, and then he bought the paper linings that go inside. Oh, so anyway, he just taught me how to use those like a week ago. I mean, I would use it from time to time, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So he, like, went through all the instructions with me and taught it. So now I feel very... I feel very technological now that after 2 years or 3 years of us having it, that I finally truly understand. I know, he's like, this is how many minutes you want to put it on, this is what you want to do, blah, 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 whatever. So, I mean, like, I know the sound of the, like, when I can hear him, like, if I'm upstairs in bed and I can hear him, like, pushing the buttons and stuff. But anyway, so he uses the paper liners to eat. So somebody had sent us 2 rubber things that you can use in the deep fryer instead of like the paper ones. And he used them a couple of times, but he didn't really use them after that. And you can like wash them, put them in the dishwasher and everything. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I don't know how to explain it, but they're like, they look like thin. I wish I could, let me see if I can find them. I know you guys are probably like, yes, Peter, we know what you're talking about. They're plastic liners, deep fryer. How do you spell fryer? Is it with an I or Y? Plastic plate. Is that what it is? A plate or a liner or something? It's like a liner. Yeah, this is exactly what it looks like. Oh, here it is. This is exactly it. Air fryer silicone. Except it's more shallow than this. But it's just like that. So we have 2 of them. But they're like that deep. And they're all like plastic on them. And so I was like looking around the kitchen. I was like, oh, let's try this. So I put Boo, because it won't like skid across the floor either because it's like plastic. So I put Boo's food in it, and he, oh my god, he just like licked it up like crazy. The plate didn't move anywhere. I mean, he was just like, he was like going crazy on this bowl, and he wasn't getting it a mess anywhere because he was keeping it on the bowl, and he was able to like eat it off the bowl. I was like, oh my god, when genius meets genius. So anyway, so I don't know how I came up with that last night, but so now he like is eating off this thing. I told Alex this morning, I was like, oh my god, I like was so proud of myself, and Alex just acted like it was no big deal. He was like, okay. I was like, no, but it doesn't skid across the floor, and it doesn't scare him, and then he can like, he's like, yeah, I noticed that he was eating like a lot more off it this morning. But anyway, so, last night, we gave him his so we watched Grotesquerie. I was so confused. We thought the end of it, because at the end of it, I said to Alex, I go, what just happened? And he goes, that's how it ended. I go, no, I literally just looked at, are we getting like a delivery? I said, oh, we're getting mail and a delivery. I said, I just looked it up. It's 10 episodes. This was the 7th episode, so we have 8, 9, and 10 left. And he goes, oh, so this wasn't the last episode? I go, no, we have 3 more episodes. And he goes, oh, then I guess this wasn't the ending. But it felt like the ending. So when we got done with that, we watched Grotesquerie, and then we watched House of Villains. And then, what did we watch after that? I feel like we watched something else, but now I can't remember what we watched. Maybe he watched something. I was telling him that I still have found to watch this week. Oh, he was watching Lincoln Lawyer, because I was like, you're so much further along in Lincoln Lawyer than I am. And he was like, oh, yeah, it's really, really good. I really like it and whatever. Oh, I was talking on the phone and stuff like that after that. Anyway, I was talking to Tanya and stuff. So after that got all done, Alex was like, I think I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to watch some TV upstairs. I was like, okay. So he moved upstairs, and I was like, I'm going to lay down and I'm going to take a little bit of nap. This is when I got done talking to Tanya. I was like, I'm going to take a nap for like an hour. And I don't even know what time that was. I think it was like 11 o'clock because we thought Boo that would settle down a little bit. He usually now is like about an hour after the meds, hour to an hour and a half, he's usually settling down a little bit. And he was kind of circling and going over to the bed in the corner. So we were like, if we go upstairs, then he'll probably just lay down. So, I was like, I'm going to lay down for an hour. So I did. I lay down for an hour, and Boo fell asleep. Well, as soon as I got up, Boo got up. And so I took him outside and whatever, and then, anyway. So last night, there's so many shows I want to watch right now, you guys. I want to watch... Well, I started Hysteria last night. I want to watch Lincoln Lawyer. I was going to go back and forth and watch an episode of each, but I was like, no, just binge watch one and pick one and stick with it. So, I want to do Hysteria, The Lincoln Lawyer, Teacup. 4 episodes are out now. It's going to be, I think, 8 or 10 episodes total. I want to watch Teacup. Alex just said there's a new series that came out on Peacock called The Girl in the Woods. What are my other shows that I want to watch? I still have to finish Roll Murders on Elm Street. Heartstopper can wait till November. Sweet Pea, Teacup, Hysteria, Lincoln Lawyer, Alyssa Charney. Oh, Alex and I will probably watch American Horror Stories this weekend. Fanatical is about Sarah and Tegan. Anatomy of Lies I want to watch. And there's all these shows that are coming out this week. Where are my October shows? Disclaimer, I'll wait till that's all out. Women of the Hour is a movie I want to watch. This is the Zodiac Speaking comes out this week. The Disappearance of Alyssa Turney comes out this week. An Alien Abduction Manhattan comes out next week on Netflix. So, I've got a lot of shows to watch this weekend and a lot of movies. What is this movie that Alex told me about? The Girl in the Woods. Girl in... Because he was like, if you want to watch that tonight, we can watch that. Girl in the... Woods. He said it was on Peacock. I hit painting instead of Peacock and it brought up all these paintings. This Girl in the Woods. The Girl in the Woods, Season 1. When did it come out? Oh, 2021. Carrie Ecker escapes from her cult life colony in the woods, dead set on building a new life in the sleeping mining town of West Pine, Oregon. But when dangerous figures from her past hunt her down, she embraces the role she left behind, that of a monster killer trained to protect the world from unthinkable horrors that live there's some holes in this house that live behind a secret door in the woods. Based on 2 short films, the series also touches on contemporary social issues like discrimination, the human cost of environmentalism, and the consequences of inequality. You know what I also wanted to watch was that Midnight Texas, but it's like, they're taking it off, I think, of wherever it was on Peacock. It's based on the shark. Oh, it's got 2 seasons. Does anybody watch Midnight Texas? It's supposed to be about, like, vampires and stuff like that. But, you know, here's the other thing is, as soon as November rolls around, I'm, like, hoping that I'm still wanting to watch spooky shows in November. I'm hoping that I'm not, like, all, like, wanting to be, like, in Christmas, because I'm kind of, like, in Christmas mode. So... last night, I was like, you gotta pick... So I started watching The Lincoln Lawyer, and I got like 5 minutes in, and I was like, I really want to watch... I want to watch at least one episode of Hysteria and see what it's about. And so I started watching Hysteria last night. Let me pull it up for you guys and read you the synopsis, because it's kind of like... It's a lot more all over the place than I thought it would. It was going to be Hysteria, Panic, set during the... I already have notes that I'm taking on the show. Set during the famous satanic panic of the late 1980s, Hysteria kicks off with the disappearance of a star varsity quarterback, promoting suspicion of darker forces at work. Hoping to capitalize on their town's sudden interest in the occult, a struggling heavy metal band rebrands itself... Why am I not putting my reading glasses on? Rebrands itself as satanic with disastrous results. By associating themselves with the supernatural, the musicians inadvertently become prime suspects in a string of murders, kidnappings, and bizarre phenomenon, triggering a leather-studded witch hunt that leads directly back to them. Okay, so I'm 4 episodes. I'm on the 5th episode out of 8. It is really, really, really well done. I will tell you it's a little spooky. It's a little scary. Oh, Nikki and I started watching at the same time. She watched the first episode, then she went to bed. And then Tanya was asking me, she's like, do you think I would like it? I said, Tanya gets scared easily. And I was like, if you're going to watch it with Eric or watch it during the day. There are some scary scenes in it. But there's also, like, I mean, you kind of, like, already know what's going on. It's not, like, that big of a mystery thriller. I mean, I think there will be some thriller things that come out, but they kind of, like, unfold things as it goes a little bit. What's interesting about it is, like, I was taking notes last night. So it supposedly takes place in 1989. It is good. I will tell you, like, I would not have sat there and binge watched 4 episodes. There's, like, all kinds of bees and stuff around here. I wouldn't have sat and watched 4 episodes if it wasn't good. It was really interesting because the band in the show, I texted Nikki and I was like, is it weird that I like this band? But, like, the main singer, she's really good. And she's like, no, I was just thinking the same thing. The show is good, but, like, I kept on, I mean, the show is supposed to take place in the late 80s, which is really weird because, like, I don't know, like, when I was in high school, I mean, like, my scene in high school was that we were very, like, new age punk, like, The Smiths, The Cure, you know, New Order, Susie and the Banshees, Sex Pistols, you know, all that kind of music. And so that was kind of our vibe a little bit, but that vibe kind of led over into, like, the hippies were just kind of getting started. That was, like, when the Grateful Dead was, like, kind of like people were, like, younger people were really getting into it. That was, like, the tail end of my high school experience, because some of my friends became, like, total deadheads. But then we were also friends with, like, a lot of, like, metalheads. Like, this one bee just keeps on going all over the place. My one friend, her boyfriend, who actually, you know what, I just saw the other day, like, he and I keep on contact on Facebook. He lives states away. But he posted that, and I thought he got sober after me, because he had reached out to me, like, years later, after he knew that we hadn't talked since like 10 years in high school. I was really, really close with him in high school. He was a year ahead of me, and he dated my friend that I went to elementary, junior high, high school, college, graduate school, everything. He dated her for like years. Like they dated, I think, from like her freshman year until like after, like 2 years after we got out of high school. So like 6 years they dated. And then he ended up moving away, and they broke up, and then I didn't know till years later that, the way I found out was because she was asking me after I got sober about the amends process, because he reached out to her to make amends. And so she was asking me about it. And I was like, oh, is he sober? And like, but we were like both early, and I didn't even connect it. Well, the other day I saw on Facebook that he just celebrated 30 years. So he must have like 2 or 3 months, he must have got sober like 2 or 3 months before I did, which is totally crazy. But anyway, I love this. I mean, he was one of the nicest guys in the entire world. And, I don't know why I remember. Isn't it weird, like, what you remember about people? He used to always tell us this story about, because people would be like, they were in a band in high school. They were in, like, a heavy metal band, which is probably why I relate to the show a little bit. So her boyfriend and, like, 3 other guys were in this band. I even remember what it was called. And so, I think it was called, it does not even matter, this band, I mean, if I look it up, like, the band, it was called Primitive Infinity. I don't even think it's around anymore. I'm sure it hasn't been around in 30 years. But anyway, I think that's what the band was called, or is that a famous band? I should probably look that up and see if that's a famous band. If it's not a famous band, then we know. I know because people are out there. Primitive Infinity. Hold on a second. This bee is wanting me. Infinity band. There's wedding bands. All kinds of wedding bands. No, nothing about Primitive Infinity. Music band. Music band. Infinity Song. No. No. I think that's what the name of the band was. Maybe I'm one word off, but I'm almost positive. So anyway, I remember, okay, so this is like, isn't it weird what you remember about people? I remember him telling us this story, that when he was like a little kid, like his mom took him to like his very first Kiss concert, and it was at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, which no longer exists. But anyway, so like when he went back to school, like they had to do some paper. It was like 1st or 2nd grade. They had to do some paper. Like I think his mom found the paper, and so he like brought it out with us one night. And so he like, I'm like being flooded with all these memories of him. He was like kind of like a badass. Like he was like a really tough guy. He was like big, long hair. He had a beard in high school. Like, nobody had beards in high school when I was growing up. It's weird when they show that in TV. Like not a lot of people when I was growing up. I mean, if you remember back, like that late period of the 80s, not a lot of people had mustaches or beards in high school. Maybe like 1 or 2, but not a lot. But he did, and he had like a full beard in high school. I mean, he looked a lot older, and he was always really protective of me. When anybody would give me shit, and he was like the like gentle giant. Like he was always just like, hey man, like come on, like don't be like leave Peter alone and whatever. And like somebody pushed it a little bit, and he'd be like, listen, I'm asking you, like don't be an ass. But anyway, I love this guy, and but I remember that he, like, I can see it in my head. I can see the drawings, the crayon drawings of it. But his mom had taken this concert. So anyway, he did this paper, like, over, like, what did you do this last weekend or whatever. And he was like, I went to the house of Kiss. And the Kiss house or something like that. And, like, Market Square Arena was, like, where he thought, like, in his head, like, Kiss lived there or something like that. Anyway. But he loved, I remember him playing, he's, like, who introduced me to, like, Metallica and stuff like that back in the day. He loved all those bands. Why was I thinking about him? What was I talking about? Oh, Hysteria. So I'm watching it, and it's interesting because, you know, the show takes place in 89. I graduated in 90. What's interesting watching it is, it's almost like whoever costumed and styled the show, like, watched a TV show about the 90s. It's not like they actually consulted or looked at pictures of the 90s, because the clothing is, like, way off. The hairstyles are, like, way off. The other thing that's interesting to me about the show is, I mean, just sound off if you, in the comment sections below, but unless you were, like, really, I mean, this is just kind of like, I mean, this is not, like, a positive memory or whatever, but it's a truism. Unless you were, like, really kind of like a Puritan or like a goody-goody. Like, everybody smoked cigarettes in high school. I don't care if you were popular, if you were like a straight A student. I'm talking about like everybody smoked cigarettes. At some point, I mean, our high school parking lot was just, I mean, you would walk out afterwards and everybody was smoking a cigarette. The athletes, the straight A students, everybody smoked cigarettes. And if you partied, you definitely smoked cigarettes. Like, if you were going to a party or a concert or something like that, everybody was smoking cigarettes. Everybody smoked back in the day. Because I can remember going to school with these girls and they would be talking about, like, you know, Jesus is our Lord and all this kind of stuff. And they were like, you know, in this youth group and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I just saw you, my friend just dealt you drugs this weekend. I can remember thinking that in my head, and you were sitting there hanging out your car window drunk, smoking a cigarette. I can remember that stuff. So it's weird that they don't portray that at all. Like, they show them drinking a little bit, but like they don't show the rest of it. I don't know. And like, for me, you're talking about a period piece that's supposed to be about satanic panic. I guess it's the other thing that's kind of weird for me. I don't know, maybe it's just how I was raised and stuff like that. That, you know, like, I've talked about this on here before, like, I can remember, like, being interested in, like, the tarot cards and the occult and stuff like that, and my dad was like, okay, when we went to P. Dalton and I got tarot cards, I had no clue what I was doing with them, right? I don't, like, maybe, I think it was more maybe on the West Coast that the satanic panic happened, but, because I remember, like, Lost Boys came out around that time. That wasn't even really, like, satanic panic, that movie, The Lost Boys, but, this takes place in Michigan, okay, like outside of Detroit. I live in Indianapolis. I mean, I think we're like, I don't know, like 5-8 hours from Detroit or something like that. Detroit, Rock City. I feel like the satanic panic happened like in the late 70s, early 80s. Like, I can remember being a little kid and them talking about kidnappings related to cults. Like, when I was a little kid. Am I wrong? Like, I want to look up the time period of satanic panic because I'll be honest with you, I don't remember in high school a lot of people talking about, I mean, sure, I can remember us talking about, like, okay, I grew up in Indiana, right? So, like, on a weekend, I can remember people would talk about, I never did it, tipping cows and stuff like that. But then people would talk about, like, we would drive out in the country and people would talk about, like, oh, like, satanic cults and are they killing people? But we didn't really believe it. I don't remember ever believing it. I don't remember parents ever being freaked out, like, on this TV show about, but I do remember, like, in kindergarten through, like, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, because I can remember the hands in the windows that you would get at school. And, like, if your family, like, approved of it, they put a hand in a window, and that hand meant, like, this is a safe place to stop, which I think is so weird in retrospect, I just want to say. Do you guys remember that? Does anybody remember those hands? Okay, so you could get this, it was like a cutout of a hand. It was a big, large hand. And then if you put it in your window, what that meant was, this is a safe home to come to if somebody is, like, following you or chasing you or trying to get you. So come and knock on our door, and this is, like, a safe place. What's so weird about that in retrospect is, like, would that not be the perfect thing for, like, some, like, perpetrator to do? Like, to have that in their, you know? Because, I mean, now you, like, I watch all this true crime, and it's, like, a lot of these people, these perpetrators were always, like, the most upstanding citizens. Like, you know, what's the guy, the clown guy from Chicago? Why can't I think of his name? John Wayne Gacy. Okay, I want to look up and see when the satanic panic years. There just was a lot that was off to me about the styling of it being 1989. It says the 1980s on here. The satanic panic is a moral panic consisting of over 12,000 unsubstantiated cases of satanic ritual abuse, starting in the early United States in 1980, spreading throughout parts of the world by the late 1990s. The panic originated in 1980 with the publication of Michelle Remembers. So it started in 1980. I don't know, I'm just thinking about it. Like, I remember it being like, well, first of all, the generation that I grew up in, if you guys are, like, really close to my age, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't really feel like we talk about kidnappings that much anymore. Or, like, warning your kids about being kidnapped or worried about being kidnapped. Like, that was a huge deal when I was a little kid. Like, a huge, 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 huge deal. I'm not saying it doesn't still happen. I mean, I know it happens. I watch enough and I read enough of the true crime cases and stuff like that, and kids are snatched in Walmart and Costco and everywhere else. I'm talking about, like, I feel like it was, like, a rampant thing when I was growing up as a kid. And especially you would hear a lot of stories from, like, out west, like California. But I can remember, like having safety plans with like my parents of like code words and stuff that like if they would put me on the phone. I can remember having that with having those conversations with my dad about like code words that we would use and stuff like that if like somebody would get us or the battery stopped. I remember that being like a lot earlier. Like a lot earlier. I remember that being like, I mean, I would have had to have, I was walking to school because I can remember that was one of the reasons why they were worried about it, was I was walking to school. So I started walking to school. I didn't walk, I don't think, in kindergarten. I wouldn't have walked in kindergarten. So 1st grade through 5th grade, I walked to school. So how old is that? 7 through 10 or no, 6 through, I don't know how old that would have been. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I was always the youngest one in my class. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I feel like, yeah. So I think I started 1st grade when I was, is that normal? I don't know, 6 or 7. But I remember that the early, maybe the later years of elementary school, but I feel like I remember the earlier years. So that would have been like, well, I was born in 72, so that would have been about 1980. But I remember a lot of people talking about, in fact, so my dad's partner, business partner, he and his wife lived on the street. They moved a couple years after this. But I remember when I would have been in elementary school because they moved. I think I've even told this story on here before. I don't really remember much about it. What I remember is from my mom and her talking about it. Because my mom and his wife were like best friends. But they lived on like this cul-de-sac. And this family across from them had like 5 kids or something like that. And I don't even remember how the story went, but apparently they like took a bunch of acid and then like shot the mom, and like one of them like cut her arm off or something. It was real weird. And I can remember them talking about like they thought it was like some cult activity. I don't know. I can remember seeing that girl like later though. They were a lot older than me. Do you know what's so weird is I remember her first name, but I can't remember her last name. I mean, it was in the news and stuff. I don't know why, like, I always am like, I never say the names and stuff, because I'm like, whatever, when you could probably Google it and find it out. But, like, I don't know why I remember her name. I feel like somebody lived next to them that, like, was, like, a grade below me. And I always associated him with that. I don't know why, but I remember her name. And she had, like, shaggy, short, blonde hair. She was a lot older than me. I feel like maybe she babysat for my, like, dad's partner and his wife or something. I don't know. But anyway, I remember her. I can see her. I can... I know what her name is and everything. It's so weird. But anyway, I don't really remember a lot of, like... I can remember us, like, going through the woods and walking through the woods and being... Oh my god, the tripod fell. And then I was like, did I delete it? And so I had to go back in and see if I deleted it or not, because I turned the camera off and I turned the camera on because it was all blurry. And then I was like, oh my god, did I delete the part of the, anyway. Okay, so, but we used to play in the woods a lot when, I thought this tripod would be so much better than the other one. It is better, the top part is better, but the legs still are not great. It has these little, well, I don't want to push them because then it'll do it. But it has these little buttons that are supposed to stay in place, and they're just not great. I mean, if these are the tripods that I think they are, that we bought when we bought the cameras originally, I mean, that was probably, I mean, this was at the first year or two of our relationship, so 15, 16 years ago. That's a long time. But anyway, you know, we played in these woods, like, in the summer and the winter and stuff. And I can remember us coming up, you know, on stuff that we would, like, I feel like in retrospect we made more out of it than it really was. Like, we would find, like, a bonfire, you know, with, like, a beer can or something. Oh, there's a lady from the Villages. She's got these 2 long things. It's like this lowrider bicycle, right? I've told this before. And it's got these huge, like, white sticks that have these orange flags, like, reddish orange flags on them. But they say something on them. I want to know what they say. I would die if they said the Villages. But anyway, you know, we would find, like, some burnt out bonfire from, like, I don't know, like, 3 months before or something. I mean, some small little bonfire. And they'd have, like, you know, one, like, Michelob light can or something in there. We'd be like, oh, this was satanic worship. You know, we would make more out of it than it was. We were trying to scare each other. But I don't really remember, a lot of, I don't remember any parents. I don't remember my parents, definitely. I just don't remember, maybe, and I'm just not remembering correctly. I mean, I'd have to talk to my dad and ask him about it, but I don't really remember, like, having specific, about kidnapping. I had specific conversations, and if, like, stranger danger and stuff like that, which we didn't even call stranger danger then. I don't remember what we called it, but I can remember, like, having conversations about that. And, because I walked to school, and when I would walk to school, which is so weird in retrospect, we all did, you know? The thing was, my street was like a mix of different ages, and then there were a couple kids in my street that went to private schools, and so then there were kids that were like in junior high. So, I mean, of the kids that we all like hung out and played together, there were kids that were in junior high, so they would walk up to the end of the street and take the bus, and of course then, you know, I kept on walking, so I can remember walking like in the dead of winter. It was so funny because I just saw this, thing on Facebook. I almost like screenshot it and was going to put it up on my Instagram, but it said, "Hello, darkness, my old friend," and then it said, you know, like the Simon & Garfunkel song, and then it said, "It's about to be 4 a.m. again," or something like, or 4 p.m. again, meaning that like it's going to start getting dark at 4 p.m., which is so true in Indiana and the Midwest. But I mean, we're like a week and a half away from daylight savings time, which just totally screws us as far as darkness anyway, but I don't mind it, except for that vlogging outside, you know, then I'll be vlogging in the dark. But I can remember literally like walking to school. I mean, we had so much snow back in the day, and it was so cold, and I can remember my mom like loading me up and putting me in this huge coat and a hat and like the, you know, everything, and just walking down the street. And then I can remember her like giving me like cinnamon and raisin toast and like a paper towel, and I would like eat it, like, you know, I'd already eaten breakfast, and she'd give me that, or like a Pop-Tart or something, and then I would like be walking down the street. And I can remember like having those, because I wanted to get a pair, because they brought them back. Do you guys remember those gloves? Although I would like use them one time, so it's a waste of money. But that like change color and design. We all had those in elementary school, I think, and they were really cool. I remember having those, and then I remember having like the mittens that you like tied to your coat. You know what I'm talking about? Or like clipped to your coat or something like that. I remember having those. And so I can remember like walking down the street. It's so weird in retrospect. It's not like I had a Walkman or AirPods. I just walked down the street in the dead silence by myself. I mean, and it was like, I think my dad and I, like, well, we did. I remember before I started first grade, we walked it because he wanted to time it and see what time I had to leave for school. But it was like, I mean, it was like a 20-minute, it was probably a 25-minute walk to my elementary school. You walked all the way down my street from the cul-de-sac, turned right, and then you walked all the way down that street, down, and then all the way over. And I can remember most of that walk I would walk by myself. I mean, every once in a while I'd see a kid like on the other side of the street, but he'd be like 2 grades older than me, and I didn't really know him or something like that. You know what I mean? But I can remember that. My mom took me to school quite a bit, but I can remember walking, and there'd be like on the side of the street, there'd be like where they had plowed the snow, and there'd be like 10 feet of snow like on the side. I mean, all through the entire winter, and it would be very, very cold, and it would be pitch black outside. And you know, it's interesting in retrospect that like, I mean, even with my adult friends today, you know, like, if they said I'm going to walk home, I'd say, "Can you text me when you get home just so that I know that you're safe," and whatever. I can't even imagine, you know, like, when Tanya drops me off, I'm always like, "Text me as soon as you get home so I know that you got home safe." I just can't even imagine just, like, I mean, there were a lot of us. We all did. There were a lot of walkers. There was walkers and there were bus riders that were too far to walk. And I mean, it was kind of like an honor to be a walker a little bit, because you lived in close distance to the school. I think it's so, do kids walk to school today? I don't know, it's weird to me in retrospect that, like, there was no, like, contacting of the parents to make sure that the kids got to school, or, I mean, isn't that so weird in retrospect? You know? I don't know. There were no cell phones. I don't remember ever, like, being, like, having to call my mom as soon as I got to school and being like, "Oh yeah, I made it to school," and whatever. I don't remember any of that. None of that. So weird. I walked for a little bit last night. I did not walk for long. It was like right at 30 minutes. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. Tonight, it's nice outside and it's a little cooler. So I think I'm going to try to walk for longer, because my goal is to finish. So I have this reading, but we'll get back to that in a second. My goal, I did a booktube video yesterday. I hadn't made one. This was my first booktube video of October. I got to get back on it this week. I was texting Mel today. We're trying to pick out the book for November. So I got to pick out a book for Peter's book club. But, so my goal is, I'm still listening to, I had to like start it over, and then, anyway, I'm still listening to God of the Woods, which is Peter's August book for Peter's book club. So my goal is to finish that well, I was going to finish it by this weekend, but I didn't really listen to much of it last night. So finish it by like Monday. And then this upcoming week, I want to finish the September and the October book. Then I'm completely caught up in Peter's Book Club. And then I started this Cozy Mystery read-along and haven't even started either one of those series. So I want to start those the following week. And then going in, so then I'll be completely caught up except for the True Crime Book Club books. But those I don't usually listen to until the week before the live stream. So I'm good. I'm totally caught up on all my books. And then I want to get back into listening to books fervently. You know, it's weird because I was so excited about like October and cooler weather and walking at night and listening to these audiobooks and stuff like that. And, you know, just it's been like a lot of different things between just like, you know, the pure laziness of me not feeling like it, and then like Boo Radley and all this kind of stuff. And I'm gonna get back to it though. Get back to shuffling down the street, shuffling down the street. But anyway, so Hysteria. That was kind of like a long-winded response to all of that, talking about Hysteria and what I remember from the satanic panic of the 80s. I just don't, like, I feel like I remember later people talking about it, like, when I would read stuff. You know, it's like when people look back on, like, the grunge era beginning. Like, I remember it starting. I remember, like, people act like it was, like, this huge movement. Maybe out west. Maybe, I remember it being very, like, Seattle-focused. I remember Nirvana being at the center of all of it. I remember people wearing, like, a lot of, like, cut-off denim vests and flannel and jeans and kind of being grungy. I mean, I remember it, you know, like, I wasn't really part of that whole look. I mean, I liked the music, but I wasn't really part of that whole, like, that wasn't my vibe, my look. I remember it starting. Oh, this was the other thing, is that they said in the show, they were describing groups of kids, and he's like, we're like the geeks, we're like the losers or whatever, and he's like, and the girl says something like, no, we're not, we're like part of the goth. She says goth. We never used the word goth in high school. I don't ever remember using the word goth, ever, until years after I was high school. They were referred to like goth. I don't know when that word came out. All I know is that was not a word that we used in high school. It's funny because, like, words that we use in high school have, like, a different meaning today. Like, we used to always listen to alternative music. And alternative music was kind of very much the music that they played on, like, 120 Minutes on MTV. It was, like, The Smiths and Susie and the Banshees. You know what? Who was here this week? And I was like, my friend, this one that I was friends with back in the day, that she and I used to party together. And we got into a fight over, like, I used to carry this binocular bag. Have I told the story before? I think I have. I used to carry this binocular bag, and she had a purse that looked like a binocular bag. And so we were at a party, and we were both wasted. And I thought that she had my bag on. She had stolen it from me. And so we ended up, like, going down over this glass table. And then they're like, okay, you're both out of here. And so anyway, I got sober, and then she got sober, like, a couple years after me. And she's still sober today. So anyway, but she and her husband go to a lot of, like, old concerts from back in the day. And I think it wasn't Susie and the Banshees. It was like, but Morrissey's coming. Morrissey can be kind of problematic today, but I can't remember who it was. You know what? I need to just look it up on her thing. Because I was like, what is the song I'm singing in my head? Dun, dun, dun. He's moving on. Everyone. Oh, Crack of Dawn. It was Jesus and Mary Chain. I think that's who she went and saw. Let me put her name in here. Here she is. I used to love the Jesus and Mary Chain. Is that she goes and sees bands all the time. Oh my god, this is so funny. She put something about Kiss on here. She made chili. What did she go and see? Where's her concert? Awesome show. Oh, Psychedelic Furs and Jesus and Mary Chain. I was like, that would be such a great concert. She went and saw them at the old National Center. But then I was looking under here, and she goes and sees a lot of concerts. Oh, Psychedelic Furs and Jesus and Mary Chain. Two of my all-time favorite bands of life. I mean, Psychedelic Furs sang, like, you know, Pretty in Pink and all that kind of stuff, but I love all their music. And then Jesus and Mary Chain, Taste of Cindy is probably one of my favorite songs of life. That was Crack of Dawn, Cindy's moving on. Okay, but she went and saw somebody else. She goes and sees people all the time. I remember she loved the Ramones back in the day. She gave her nephew this book that says, she's got a young nephew. What does it say? Little People, Big Dreams books. And it's David Bowie. What was the other concert she saw? Oh, she's showing all of her travels of the world. Anyway. Yeah, I don't really remember the Satanic Panic. It's weird, like, in retrospect. You know, I was looking at something the other day. Oh, it was like somebody I went to high school with, and their daughter, like, they showed a picture of their daughter looking at their high school yearbooks. I remember being in high school and reading my mom's high school yearbooks and being like the things that they wrote her, and being like, God, they look so dated. Like she looks so old in these pictures and stuff, you know? It's like, when I look at my yearbooks today, or I mean, I don't really look at my yearbooks, but when I see pictures of myself from back in the day or whatever, or I think back then, like yes, it feels like it's been 30, I mean, I guess it's been 34, 35 years. Yeah, it feels, well, 34 years. It feels like it's been 34 years. I mean, it doesn't feel like, you know when people say like, oh, it just feels like yesterday? There are moments that it does. Like I've talked about, like, when I think about things, like I could like wake up and be like, my mom be like, oh, your friend's here to pick you up for school. There are moments, I guess, that used to feel that way. Not so much anymore. I feel really far away from it, from, you know, my youth. The memories are still vivid, but I feel very far removed from that. It's only like when I see like pictures, like in my mind's eye, it doesn't seem as old-timey. But then when I see pictures of like, like people on Facebook will put up pictures of like high school, their friends in high school or whatever, you know? And I'm like, oh my God, like that was like forever ago. Like, I mean, it really was. I mean, 34 years ago. What's so weird is that Alex and I have been together half of that time. Like I sometimes like don't even, you know, realize like how long, I mean, I realize how long Alex and I have been together, but like, I mean, going on 16 over, you know, 16, 17 years, going on 17 years is crazy, you know? This guy's walking fast. This guy's collar popped and everything. He's very professional. Tonight we were going to go to Carlitos' football game. Okay, but I said to Alex when I got up, I said, are we still going to Carlitos' football game? And he said, did you not get Liliana's text? And I said, I haven't even looked at my phone yet. And he goes, no, she's going to a concert. She's not even going. I go, what? Because we were going to go and like hang out with Liliana, because Carlos is one of the coaches for the football team. So we were going to go with Liliana and hang out with her for like an hour and a half. And he goes, Liliana's not going anymore. She's going to a concert. And I go, so she invited us to the football game, but she's not going to the football game anymore? He goes, no, she wants to like reschedule. She wants to do another time. She wants us to come to one of Sebastian's soccer games as well. I was like, okay, whatever. I said soccer would actually work earlier because we can give, or better because we can give Boo his meds and they're like early, so we can get up and like go have breakfast with them and stuff like that. And so, because we're like figuring out what we're doing for the holidays and all this kind of stuff. I think Alex's mom is coming back, not this week, but next week. She's been all over Europe. That woman, she is traveler of the day. She has been in Switzerland, Italy, Spain. She has been everywhere. So I think she comes back next week. Alex told me the day that he was like, because I was like, oh, she'll be back in time for Halloween, so she can come over to Caroline's, because Caroline was asking, she was like, when does Alex's mom get back? Because I'm going to like, you know, because she was including her, like, in the group text for, like, the Halloween thing, stuff like that. And she's like, should I include her? And I was like, yeah, I'll just include her. I don't know if she'll be back in time. I thought she wasn't coming back before, I can hear him in the kitchen. I thought she wasn't coming back before Thanksgiving, but apparently she's coming back before Halloween. And she usually comes to Caroline's Halloween stuff, so hopefully she'll be able to make it to that. But anyway, what was I going to say? What was I talking about? Oh, so we were supposed to go to this football game tonight. And so anyway, he was like, didn't you see your phone? She texted us. I was like, no, I haven't even looked at my phone yet. That's not the first thing I do in the morning. I do my prayers and my meditations. I ask myself. So anyway, but today I did look at my phone. And so she's going to I said, who is she going to see? And he goes, Juanez. Now, I don't know why I know that person. I think I have some of his music in my phone. I should look and see. She's like real excited that she and her friends got the tickets. Why is it not pulling up anything? Oh, because what was I doing? I have the most random people in my, you should see all the people. Elton John, Elvis Crespo, Emmylou Harris, Enrique Iglesias, Eric Church, Etta James, Eve, Evelyn Champagne King. That's Valerie and I's song. What's that song called? Love Come Down. That was what we used to always listen to at the casino. Faith Hill. I mean, Fleetwood Mac, Flesh for Lulu. I love, what was that song? Love them in high school. Postcards from Paradise. Postcards from Paradise. Frank Ocean, Frank Sinatra, Fred Again. What's that Alex's like favorite right now? Karen G. Is that her name? I think he's like, he's obsessed with her. I downloaded a bunch of her music too because I really like her. He got me hooked on that Fred Again, and then Karen G. She's like a Latino singer. Is that her name? I'm almost positive that's Carol G. Oh my God. Have you guys heard her? She's so good. Alex is obsessed with her. There's tons of mixes and stuff. What was I looking for in here? Now I don't even remember what. Oh, Juanes. I went past that already. I thought I did. I guess I don't. How do I know that? Oh, look, it pulls up Juanes, Indianapolis. And Hammond, Indiana. She's driving to Hammond, Indiana tonight for this concert. It's at the Horseshoe Casino. That is like that's like by where Valerie lives. That's like 3 hours north of here. Oh my Lord. At 8 p.m. She probably should have left already. Oh my God, these tickets are expensive. I mean, for orchestra seats, $70, $80. Well, she better have a good time. Have a good time. Oh, he's good looking. Better have a good time. There he is. So, Liliana will be going to see him tonight. So, there is no football game. I mean, there's a football game, but nobody's going to it. So, we are postponing the football game, and we are postponing the soccer game. Well, the soccer game we hadn't planned, but we're doing the soccer game. We're going to do, like, all that. And then we're also planning the holidays and stuff like that. But we're just taking it day by day this weekend with, like, Boo Radley and all this kind of stuff. Alex had planned to, like, he was, like, tentatively planning to go out with, like, some of his girlfriends tonight. And, but the other night he was like, no, I'm not going to do it because I'm, like, you know, like, Boo Radley, I don't want to be here with you guys and stuff like that. I was like, so last night when Boo Radley, yesterday and last night when he did really well. Okay, so now we made it 2 full days with no seizures, thank God. So, which, I mean, really, in all honesty, doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. So, last night, I was like, babe, if you want to go out tomorrow night, like, if he's as good as he is today, I was like, you can go out. He's like, no, I'm just going to stay home because he's got stuff next weekend. I thought he had stuff Friday and Saturday, but he just has 2 things on Saturday. And one of them he invited me to, but I don't think I'm going to go to. So yeah, tonight I'm just going to watch TV shows. Oh, you know what? Okay, so Bette Midler, while I was singing that, do you ever wake up and, like, you have, like, a remnant of, like, a memory in a dream? Does that make sense at all when I'm saying the battery just went to the halfway mark, so I have to get a new battery in a second. But you guys know what I'm talking about at all? Like, when you have a remnant of, like, a memory from your... So, I woke up, and in my head, I'm, like, singing that Bette Midler song. Do you wanna dance all through the night? Oh, baby, baby. Do you wanna dance? Do you guys remember that song? Okay, well, so I'm like, why is that song in my head? Well, what's so weird about it is, I remember my friend that, like, elementary, junior, the one that dated the heavy metal guy, she and I think it was my 21st, so it would have been my 20, like, after I turned 21 that year. I feel like it was that New Year's. She and I went up to Chicago, because I can remember my dad was like, I want to get you guys, like, a hotel room and stuff as, like, a Christmas present, like, part of it, you know, he wanted to be really nice. So he got, like, us, because all of our friends stayed in Boys Town, and I was like, my dad ended up getting she and I, like, he wanted us to be, like, safe and whatever. So he ended up, like, getting us a hotel room because he wanted to make sure that, you know, we weren't just, like, he was like, you want to make sure that you're staying somewhere safe and all that. So he got us a hotel room. But I remember that, like, 20 of us from Indianapolis went to Chicago for that weekend. We were there for, like, I feel like we went up there, whatever New Year's would have been that year, but we went up there for like 2 or 3 days. Well, my one friend that used to live with me, she was the friend of mine that said, like, you're gonna either die or I'm gonna tell your dad kind of thing. And I love her so much. She's been, years later, you know, I don't know, she was willing to say the things that nobody was willing to say to me. She was so worried about my drinking and my drugging. But she had a lot of guy friends, a lot of gay guy friends that lived in Chicago. And she had a friend of hers that she grew she had a friend of hers that she grew up with. This is so weird how I remember all this. And so, I think she was originally from Lafayette. And so, or did they go to school at Purdue? I can't remember. But anyway, something to do with that. So he lived in Chicago. So one of our guy friends, like, she was connecting them and hooking them up because they had met like one time before. And so she was going up with our friend here to hook him up with our friend in Chicago. These were the innocent times, okay? So they were like kind of like a couple from the get-go. Like, we already knew, like, they were going to be, like, hooked up for the whole weekend. Because they, like, I don't know. But anyway, it's so funny because they never ended up together, like, after that weekend. But then my girlfriend and I went, and that girl, she went, and she stayed with her friend in Chicago. She and that guy stayed with the friend in Chicago. And then I remember our other friend who ended up, like, he was, like, a lot older than me when I came out, and was really, really helpful to me, and, like, kind of, like, maneuvered, I mean, really was, like, my mentor of being gay. And I can remember, like, years later, went through some kind of, like, conversion thing, and then decided that he was straight, and he married a woman, and they moved out of state. They moved to New York. And then, like, it kind of, like, I don't know, something really bad happened, and then he moved back and was like, I'm not straight, I'm gay. I don't know, it, like, really, I haven't talked to him in a long time. I've reached out to him a couple times, he never reaches back, so, but, whatever, gay, straight, in between, whatever he's gone through, I still love him. He was very, very helpful to me. But he was up there, and he was up there with 2 guys, and then we had, like, a bunch of other friends. It was, like, 20 of us from Indianapolis and Chicago for New Year's Eve. It was so much fun. But I remember, okay, I'm trying to think of the bars in Chicago. I haven't gone to Chicago in forever, but there was Roscoe's, and then there was Sidetracks. Sidetracks was across the street. There was something street. What's the street bar? Big Chicks, that's not up there anymore. Berlin, that's not up there anymore. Berlin, we went to that. That's the last memory that I have of New Year's Eve, was my friend and I from junior high, and all that friend. She and I stumbling around the corner going to Berlin, and it was a Divine look-alike contest on New Year's Eve. And I remember us walking in the door, all these Divines, and that's like my last memory of New Year's Eve. But I think, okay, so my friend who was like hooking up the 2 guys, she also had this friend, I feel like his name was David, that worked at, it was the restaurant next to the bar, whatever it was that Roscoe's or whatever it was. But he worked at the restaurant next to the bar, and oh my god, like, I can remember he had these, like, huge, like, I used to love, like, big eyebrows, and he had, like, these big eyebrows, and, like, this big, thick, like, dark curly hair. And I just was like, oh my god, I'm, like, obsessed. And so, we kind of had this, like, love affair for, like, 3 days. I mean, it was nothing intimate whatsoever, nothing sexual. But, I mean, this is before cell phones and stuff like that, right? So, I mean, we're like, she would be like, my friend would be like, okay, he's gonna be here, so we've gotta go there tonight, whatever. And then, like, he and I would, like, hang out. And then, like, I can remember during the day, like, I mean, I never even met him before this weekend. And I can remember being like, oh my god, talking to all my girlfriends, like, I'm so in love with him. Like, I wanna move to Chicago, or he's gonna move to Indianapolis. I mean, I can remember talking to him about it this weekend. I mean, I was 21, you know? And being like, do you wanna move to Indianapolis, or should I move to Chicago? We hadn't even, like, had sex or anything. We just, like, made out and kissed and whatever. So anyway, I remember, like, we were leaving. I mean, this is literally, like, I mean, I look back on this is so insanity. It was like this 3-day love affair, right? I still have pictures of him in my big tub of pictures in the basement. I still have pictures of him. This is so crazy. I can see him in my head. He was so cute. He was a couple years older than me. And I can remember seeing him. He was like, he was like a server at, like, whatever the restaurant. Does anybody, like, used to live in Boys Town in Chicago? What am I thinking of? It was like on, like, not Halstead. What's the corner there where Sidetracks is on one side, and what's the street? Anyway, Sidetracks is where all the movie screens are, TV screens are, and stuff like that. But But there was a little restaurant. I can remember we would go in there and get like coffee and stuff, and he worked in there. But anyway, oh my God, I had such a crush on this guy. And so I can remember we had some kind of talk like over this 3-day romance. I think it was like everybody was falling in love over this weekend, so I wanted to fall in love too. Have you ever been like that? I was like, oh my God, I want to fall in love. And so I was like, anyway, we had some serious talk about like, this is just not going to happen unless you can come up to Chicago every weekend. And I don't even think he had a car to get down to Indianapolis. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I don't know what's going to happen. You know, like, I think we just kind of both realized it was just the weekend kind of thing. And I can remember it was myself and my girlfriend, she was like ready to hit it. She was like ready to get back to Indianapolis probably because we were like all like had been drinking for 3 days straight and we're hungover, and she was like ready to get back. And I can remember it was her. I could just see her sitting there in her coat. Like, he kept on saying, you can take your coat off. She's like, no, we're not staying long. And then it was my other friend from Indianapolis and her friend that had been hooking up with that guy all weekend long. They were done. And so they were getting ready to go back. It was like the 3 of us, and like he invited us over to our apartment. And for some reason, I feel like we were all there like out of courtesy for me because like, I don't know why. But he had this little like brick apartment. I remember he was like serving us like coffee and stuff. Anyway, he played this Liza Minnelli deal. The battery's blinking. Hold on, let me go get another battery. Okay, I'm back. Bradley is eating a little bit, and he's made some pizza rolls, and he's watching something on TV. So, I was talking to them, or I was talking to him, and so I'm talking to them, talking to Boo and Alex for a little bit. Boo's like super tired right now. But anyway, I was talking to him, so when I came out here, I had to like figure out where I was at. So anyway, we were at this apartment, and I remember it was like snowing outside. It was like this very kind of like I didn't want to leave. Like I felt very cozy in this apartment in Chicago. Probably in retrospect, I feel like I've told this story before, but probably told it differently because like I'm seeing it in humorous light now. But like I think I could kind of like just imagine myself like at that time. I think I could just kind of imagine myself like moving into this guy's apartment, us being in love in the wintertime in Chicago, you know, and like walking the streets of Chicago. And you know, like when you like go on vacation and you think, God, I'd just love to move here. But it's like, if you lived there, that's not what it would be like. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I think like in that moment, in that fantasy, and remember he had like candles lit, and we could see it was snowing outside. He had like this brick wall. It was like this small apartment, but it was real cute. And it was getting like later and later. And I can remember like one of the last songs we heard was that, Do You Wanna Dance? I looked up the album today. Well, actually, so I looked it up. I already own the song on my iTunes, probably because I was going down memory lane years ago. Where is it at? Whenever I bought the song, I bought it a long time ago. I bought it. Half these songs I have, like, okay, where's it at? Do you want, what's it called? I just looked it up earlier. Here it is. Do You Want to Dance, Bette Midler. Oh no, I'm playing it. Okay, stop it. Okay. How do I get, there's always bugs around me. How do I get to, go to album? The album is called The Divine Miss S. I guess I have 3 songs on there. Superstar, Hello in there. But anyway, I remember we listened to this whole album. I remember I came home and I ended up having to like buy that CD because I was like obsessed with that album then. Because that was like, it equaled romance to me. But for some reason, it's that song. I feel like that was like one of the last songs we listened to. And I can remember just like sitting there looking at the snow outside and just being like so sad the weekend was over, and then I had to come back to reality. It's so weird that that was like, so that, I think that would have been my New Year's after I turned 21. What's so weird about that is that following New Year's was when I was in treatment. Crazy. I wonder what happened to him. I actually asked my friend that, because I do remember his name was David. I don't know how I remember that. David from Chicago. If anybody knows David from Chicago that worked at Roscoe's or some restaurant along in Boys Town in Chicago. And what year would that have been? I was born in 72, so would have been 93. New Year's going into 94. That worked in Chicago, David. With big eyebrows and dark curly hair. He was very cute. He was a couple years older than me. If I was 21, he was probably 25. But anyway, I asked my friend a while ago, which is so crazy, like that friend of mine that she lived on my couch and stuff like that, and we used to like party so much together. Her son just turned 20 the other, that's surreal to me, you know? And so, I asked her not too long ago though, well, it was a couple years ago, I was like, do you remember what happened to that guy? You know, I'm telling stories on here, I have to tell a story, okay? About music. Because this friend of mine, she actually watches my vlog every day, okay? So I had this friend of mine in high school, and even though I knew that I was gay, I had a little bit of a crush on her. And I think she might have had a little bit of a crush on me, I don't know. Hey, how are you? It's beautiful, isn't it? She's talking on the phone. But I don't know, I could be wrong about that. I do remember actually the guy that she dated, she was a year behind me. And so I remember the guy that she dated. I'm trying to think of how I ended up meeting her. So one of my best friends in high school was a year behind me. And she and I had the same birthday. She now lives in Portland, Oregon. And so I think she was friends with this other friend of mine. And so then, because I can remember we used to go out to eat, like the three of us a lot. We would go downtown and we would go to Schultz's, which was this restaurant that was next to IRT. I remember the three of us used to go there a lot. But anyway, maybe I met her through my other friend that lives in Florida now. I can't remember how we actually met, but I do remember this guy that she dated in high school. Because I thought he was cute, but I didn't like how he treated her. And he would come up and he would like, they would get in fights, and then he was like the same age as her. And he would like ask me, he was like, do you think she still likes me or whatever? I don't know why I remember that. But anyway, I feel like they dated for a while. But she ended up going to... She's going to know exactly who I'm talking about. But anyway, when I say that, she won't care. But she went to Europe for something. I can't remember if she was like an exchange student in Europe for the summer or whatever. But I remember when she came back, because I can remember who it was. So she came over to my dad's house, and it was her and it was this friend of mine that I had known since kindergarten, but not that same friend. It was the three of us. And she brought me, and at the time, I'll never forget this. This might have been after her. I might have been like a freshman in college, going into a freshman in college or something. I can't remember. But she brought me the Black Box cassette tape. Remember Martha Wash from Black Box? She brought it to me from Europe. And I remember I was like one of the first people here that had it, like in Indiana. And because I can remember years later like hearing all those songs like out at bars and stuff like that. And she like gave me the cassette tape. She's like, I brought this for you. And I can remember that day we like, because this is how I remember it, because my other friend, she didn't, the one that lives in Florida now, she didn't have a swimsuit on. So she wanted to go water skiing. So she ended up water skiing in a bra and panties. And I can remember she just was like, I don't care, I want to water ski. And this friend that I'm talking about had this white bikini. I do not know how I remember that, but she had this white bikini. And she was like all tan. And I think I had just read Garden of Eden or something by Hemingway, because I thought she looked like the girl from Garden of Eden. And anyway, but I remember her a lot. I remember her dropping her off at her parents' house and stuff, because she's an only child too, like me. And I can see her parents' like house in my head and stuff like that. We reconnected a couple years ago. We keep on saying that we're going to go out and have lunch and stuff like that. We never do. So, girl, I know you're watching this right now because you just messaged me last night. So we need to make a plan for lunch. But anyway, she's so sweet. We were really, really close in high school. Like later high school though. And she was friends with, so I dated this girl in high school my senior year. We dated like my senior year and then part of like my freshman year in college, which was her senior year. And then she went to IU and she ended up coming out as a lesbian. And then she started dating this girl, and they were together for like, I think they're broken up now, but they were together for like 25 years or something like that. They adopted a son and all this kind of stuff. And this girl that I'm talking about that watches my vlogs, this girl, she's my age. She's like a year younger than me, this girl. She was friends with her too. She was friends with her and those other two girls. Actually, you know what? We do need to talk, because there was this one girl in that group that I'm always kind of like wondering what happened to her. But she was the one that introduced me to Black Box. I'll never forget her giving me this. I can see it. It was like a red and black tape cassette cover, and I was like, what is this? And she's like, everybody in Europe is playing this right now. And I was like, what? She's like, everybody in Europe is playing this right now. And so I'd never heard of it, and like every song on there I like absolutely loved. So yeah, she was the one that, she always knew her good dance music. Music was huge to me and my friends in high school. It was huge. guys hear those like geese or birds or whatever they are that they're eating over there? I've had like a really bad headache my last 3 days. So, hoping that Boo does well tonight. He's okay today. He's a little slow today, a little. And like he's been like, he'll like lay down for an hour, then he like walks for an hour. Lay down for an hour, he walks for an hour. He finally slept last night, so we'll see. We'll see how tonight goes. Just taking it day by day. I'm hoping the whole weekend goes well. I hope that, you know, I don't come on here tomorrow or Monday and be like, it's hard decision time. I think I kind of reached this point where I was just kind of like, I can't, like if the time comes that he just like turns and we have to make some tough decisions, then we'll make those tough decisions. If, like I can't continue to live in like the panic anymore. I found myself a little bit getting into it last night. And I was like, this is not, you have to like take care of yourself a little bit. And so, I don't know, you know, I feel hopeful, but I mean, every day we're kind of evaluating, like, is this matching up to what we want it to look like and stuff like that. So, I don't know, we'll see. You know what, I don't think I took my allergy medicine yet. Maybe that's why my head is hurting. These birds are eating something over there. They sound like chickens, don't they? It's really pretty today. There's people walking, but like none of my neighbors are out. I'm kind of surprised my neighbor's across the street. Oh no, her garage door's open. Surprised she's got her window open. Surprised she's not out working on her garden. I mean, it's been colder the last couple days, but I actually haven't seen her working out in her garden much at all this week. And it still looks pretty. I should do a fall garden tour is what I should do this week for my Peter Does Stuff channel. And then she wants me to do an inside garden tour at her house, so I should do that as well. Again, I really want to thank you guys for all of this, like, the positive support and the kindness, all the prayers, all the love, all the positivity. I mean, in the comment sections, watching my videos, and all the messages. I'm just getting swamped with DMs. I'm trying to respond and at least just say thanks. But if I don't respond to your DM, please don't take it personally. Like, I'm just getting tons and tons and tons, which is so nice. I mean, it's just, like, so unbelievably nice. It was interesting because a lot of people watched yesterday's vlog. Like, they would watch, like, it was yesterday, Friday, Thursday's vlog, where I was talking about like things were not good, into Friday's vlog, which was where I felt a little bit more hopeful. And a lot of people watched them back to back, and so they would comment on it, and then they would turn around and watch the next one, and they would say, "Oh my God, I'm so glad that things are, you know, so much better." You know, it's just each day. I just don't really know. Like, I'm hopeful for today, but like I don't know that tomorrow it won't be like he just didn't do great tonight, or tomorrow it might be like, yeah, he did fantastic tonight. He's sleepy today. He's real tired. You know, and I don't know, so he's still coming up to us. Like when I went in there, he was coming up for his little chin. He wants his chin, I call it chin chops, where I like scratch underneath his chin. He loves that. But yeah, so anyway, I think I'm gonna take a walk and listen to some of my audiobook. I gotta get the audiobook done by Monday. Like, that's my goal. I gotta get back into the reading and into the walking and things like that. And I'm gonna do that. I don't think I got the mail yet today. And then, I don't think I'm gonna film any more videos today. I don't. I think I'm gonna let this be it. Let this be it. Let there be light. I think I'm gonna let this be it, and then I'm gonna start uploading this, or rendering this, and then start uploading it and get this up. And then I'm just gonna take the day and relax and hang out with Boo and Alex and watch some shows and all that. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. This has been nice. I'm gonna go inside. I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Saturday. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you guys. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. And I will, hopefully tonight goes well, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I love you. Bye. Love you.